Okay, we got time for one more. Caller, you're live on the air. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Tree from Borough Park. Question for you. If the Christians believe that the devil revolted against God and the devil has his own will, isn't that close to Zoroastrian? That's my question.
Good question, and the answer is yes. The idea of dualism, that there were independent agencies, independent deities, many that were benevolent and many that were malevolent, is the hallmark of dualism, the hallmark of Zoroastrianism, the hallmark of what gave fuel to the Marcionite belief. Marcionites, a iteration of Christianity that began in the 2nd century because of a Christian theologian from what's modern-day Turkey. The idea that there were actually the Old Testament, he insisted, was the product of a malevolent, evil God, or definitely not the God of Jesus, and that Jesus was totally a separate deity altogether. He believes there were two gods, the good God, the bad God. They also all believed that this world is basically a bad place and created by the bad God. This is the way the Gnostics believed. Gnosticism began before Christianity. The ideas that drive Gnosticism, the idea that this world is a really bad place and the heavenly realm is perfect. And you can understand why people thought that way. We are not accustomed to looking at the stars. Very few of us will be able to look at the stars and know which direction we're going in, identify heavenly bodies. For many reasons, we don't need to anymore. We have watches, clocks, compasses. We got GPS. We just don't need. The art is no longer necessary. Also, there's so much light pollution; it's hard to see. But in the ancient world, they were much more aware than we are of the night sky, and what they saw was utter perfection. They saw the world of the celestial realm to be utterly perfect. Conversely, they looked around them and they saw death, destruction, things that are broken, mortality, death, the end of life, and they all realized that these two are utterly incompatible. And this world was created by an evil God. This is the religion that Augustine belonged to. The Manichaeist thinking. A lot of Christians don't like to talk about his Manichaeist ideas because Augustine is held in such high esteem. But this was a part of his life, and even though he would drop it at some point, it affected him throughout his life. The idea in that view, it's all dualism, is that this world was created by the evil God, which is the God of the Jews, and there's another God that's benevolent, and that's how you explain suffering in the world. Like, why do good things happen and bad things happen? You know, and people didn't understand what an earthquake was. I mean, what would you make of an earthquake in the ancient world? You didn't know anything about tectonic plates. You didn't say what a volcano was. To you, it was the gods are angry. It was only Judaism that said that there's only one God. And all the forces that you observe, that you encounter, that you experience, that's where the word Elohim comes from. All the powers, really powers, that's why that word is in plural, all the powers are really from one source. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. That is all one. And although you're seeing all this stuff going on, it's all from God. Isaiah says that. God is speaking that I created good, I created evil. It's all from me. It's in the Bible. The Tanakh is there to attack dualism, that it's all from me. It all comes from me. You see bad things happening? Before I have placed good and evil, life and death. You must choose life that you may live. And God calls heaven and earth as witnesses. Please see Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 14 through 19. Just look it up. Look it up. Just right there. What is being conveyed? That Judaism is no silly, it's all from God. And the reason there are forces in the world that are seducing you away from God is a creation of God. That's free will. Science knows today, they're completely aware that free will does not make sense in a world that could be mapped out in with materials, with atoms and subatomic material. They know that. It's all pre-programmed. The only way there is free will is if there is a God. If there's no God, there can't be free will. The ancient world didn't understand any of this. So, Zoroastrianism, it's the God of light, the God of darkness. That's why this plays so big in Joannian texts in particular, the book of John. Very strong aura of light and darkness. In Revelation, this is amped up even more. Light and darkness. Very, very important. And the Antichrist appears very prominently in Revelation and is named by name in the epistles of John. By name. Why? Because Joannian is very, very highly dualistic. So yes, dualism is the fuel of the pagan world. And again, it's understandable. They weren't stupid. People just didn't understand why, one person's child lived and another person's child died. Like, why is this happening? There must be different forces in the world that there's the only way they can make sense of it, unless they plugged into the Torah, which is here to say, I want you to know this. The greatest vision in the Torah is the one that Jacob saw, a ladder connecting what? Heaven and earth. What's going on? Angels going up and down. God is in the top. God and the earth are utterly connected. And use the earth, use the material world to raise up Hashem. Don't listen to Paul on celibacy. That's all dualism. That's all alien to the Hebrew Bible. Rather, take something mundane from the terrestrial world. Make a blessing over it. Raise it up to Hashem. That's the key message in Tanakh. Don't distance yourself from the physical world, but rather integrate the physical world into the spiritual. And that's what marks Judaism. It sets it aside from all the dualistic ideas that you find in the pagan world, that in the Levant and far beyond. Thank you for that question.
Adon olam asher malach b'terem kol יציר נברא לעת נעשה בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא